The Orlando Magic are Southeast Division champions. They've clinched their spot in the play-in tournament. Why that is something to celebrate today on Locked On Magic.
You are Locked On Magic, your daily Orlando Magic podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And you are indeed Locked On Magic. Today is April 10th, 2025. My name is Philip Rossman-Reich. I'm the senior writer over at OrlandoMagicDaily.com, credentialed member of the Orlando Magic Media. You can, of course, follow me on Twitter at PhilipR_OMD and on Blue Sky at PhilipRR. On today's episode of Locked On Magic, the Orlando Magic officially clinched their spot, the 7 seed, the Southeast Division champions, with a win over the Boston Celtics. Why the Magic's victory is a good thing and something to note and celebrate for as long as we can. We'll get to that, plus what the Magic have left to prove this season, coming up here in just a moment. But first, we want to thank you for making Locked On Magic part of your day every day, especially if you're one of our everydayers. If you can make Locked On Magic, whether you're listening to Locked On Magic right when we upload, whether it's early in the morning, we truly appreciate you making Locked On Magic part of your day every day. You can make Locked On Magic an even bigger part of your day with the Locked On Magic Daily Newsletter, the one stop for ultimate team and league coverage delivered right to your inbox. Sign up for free now at LockedOnDaily.com. That's LockedOnDaily.com. And start today with the all-new free Locked On Magic Newsletter. Division championships don't matter very much anymore. Like, it used to be guaranteed playoff spot, top 2 seed, guaranteed top 4 seed, you used to get something for winning your division. But obviously we've entered a different era of NBA basketball, a different organizational period of NBA basketball. Winning your division isn't a big deal anymore. It's 5 teams. You play everybody about the same number of times. It doesn't have the weight. And so I enter what I'm about to say acknowledging all of that. I enter all of that saying that part. But, while the Magic are not going to accomplish the many goals they had for the start of the season, while the Magic are not going to be the team they thought they could be, that we all thought they could be, while the Magic are not hitting those marks, the Magic are still doing something worth noting. Winning the division is not easy. It is not something the Magic have done very often. This is the 8th time the Magic have won their division, if I'm not mistaken. And really the only time that the Magic have won their division in consecutive seasons have been the big ones. 1995, 1996, when Shaquille O'Neal and Penny Hardaway were here, when the Magic won the Atlantic Division, when that was back when divisions did matter. Back in 2008, 2009, and 2010 with Dwight Howard. Those are the only years the Magic won the division in consecutive seasons. Those are the only times the Magic clearly established themselves. And now, Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner, this era of Magic basketball, has its 2nd division crown. The Orlando Magic defeated an undermanned Boston Celtics team 96-76. We'll talk more specifically about that game, but with Boston sitting so many of their regulars and it just being a weird game, there isn't much to say about it. I'll say what I need to say in the second segment. But with the win, the Magic officially clinch the Southeast Division and the 7 seed. They will host that play-in tournament game next Tuesday at the Kia Center. Tickets do go on sale Wednesday, April 10th at 1 p.m., if I'm not mistaken. You might be able to find some tickets on Game Time already. I believe they released some to season ticket holders, but neither here nor there. Tickets will officially be on sale Wednesday afternoon. This is no small thing because the Magic have been through a lot this year. The Magic not only have been through a lot this year, but they truly had to earn this over the last few weeks of the season. They had to win games and start stacking up victories. They had to recover from so many things. So while, yes, the division championship is not, as Jamal Mosley put it after the game, it might be a reason to stop and smell the roses, especially now that the Magic are locked into the 7 seed and these final 2 games don't mean anything. These final 2 games won't affect the standings. I'll talk about what's left to prove this season and how I think the Magic will approach these last 2 games coming up toward the end of the show. Because there is still something of value. There's still one more thing maybe to fight for. But this is a small thing, but it is a big thing. The Orlando Magic have gone through a lot this year. At the end of the day, when we look back at this season, injuries are a huge part of the story. Would the Magic have accomplished their goals or gotten closer to accomplish, or would the Magic have accomplished their goals if they got through the season healthy? We will never know. I suspect that they would have had a good chance of doing so. But the fact of the matter is they are where they're at. And the fact of the matter is, despite getting only 6 games total with Jalen Suggs, Paolo Banchero, and Franz Wagner on the floor together, despite a 2-month-long injury to Paolo Banchero, despite a 6-week-long injury to Franz Wagner, a torn ACL for Mo Wagner, a back injury that then went into a knee injury for Jalen Suggs. The fact that despite missing their 4 best players for extended periods of time due to season-ending injuries, the Magic are sitting here able to celebrate a division championship. That speaks to something that we believed or thought back in December when the team was really rolling was inherent to the team. This is a resolute group. This is a group with a ton of resolve. This is a group that will fight and claw and get what they want through tooth and nail. They may not have the talent or the ability or the chemistry or the rhythm to be the 4 seed, but they still have enough to win their division. They still have enough to check that goal off their checklist. It may not be the most important goal, but it is a goal nonetheless. And when you take everything the Magic have been through in totality, when you take everything that they have fought and strived to be and all that they had to overcome, when you take that all in totality, and they come out here, it is still impressive. It is still something to celebrate. Just think of where the Magic were at just a month ago, just a little bit more than a month ago, 5 weeks ago. They have a 1-6 homestand that felt like that was the end. Like that was the game. Game over. The Magic blew the opportunity. But in their last 16 games, they've gone 11-5. Their offensive rating has jumped nearly 5 points per 100 possessions over their season average to 113.5. Still not great, but still better. They're shooting 35.5% from 3 with a dominant 107.2 defensive rating to boot. The Magic probably needed time to let their players get back into rhythm and get back from injury. This isn't 2K. You don't just come back at 100%. But now that they are, we are seeing them play at a high level consistently. We are seeing them play the way we always imagined. And as Jamal Mosley said throughout the course of the season, the goal has always been to play their best basketball at this time of the year. To win the Southeast Division, they had to do that. They trailed the Hawks by 2 games. It looked like they might be dead in the water as the Hawks were streaking and the Magic were just trying to keep up. And yes, Orlando dropped some games that they shouldn't have dropped, and we can go back and play that and say that if they would have gotten this game, they would have been the 6th seed. The 1-6 homestand alone, there's enough what-ifs to bury you. But through it all, through all that doubt, through all the uncertainty, through all the ups and downs, here the Magic are. Not where they wanted to be, but the best they could be under their circumstances. The Magic have clinched their spot. They have accomplished something. There will be a new banner in the Advent Health Training Center. They made the room for it already. There will be a new banner. As small and as unimportant as that might feel, in this kind of a season, it's something. It's something to hang on to. It's something to be proud of. It is an accomplishment. It's a trophy. It's a banner. These guys, you put a trophy in front of these guys, they go for it. And the Magic got it. And in the process, set themselves up to have every advantage they could hope for. The goal at the beginning of the season was to get home court advantage in the playoffs. The Magic will not get that. But at least they got a home court advantage in the play-in tournament. And the work is not done by any stretch of the imagination. But the Magic have secured the best position they can. And they'll get rewarded for it too. Let's talk specifically then about Wednesday's game because, whoa boy, Wednesday's game was a doozy. We're going to get to that coming up here in just a moment. But first, today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by our friends over at TurboTax. Taxes was waiting and wondering and worrying if you were going to get any money back, and then waiting, wondering, and worrying some more. Now Taxes is matching with a TurboTax expert who can do your taxes as soon as today. An expert who gives your taxes their undivided attention as they work on your turn while you get real-time updates on their progress so you can focus on your day. An expert who will find you every deduction possible and file every form, every investment, everything with 100% accuracy. Also, you can get the most money back guaranteed. No waiting, no wondering, no worries. Now, this is Taxes. Get an expert now on TurboTax.com. It's only available with TurboTax Live full service, real-time updates only on the iOS mobile app. See guarantee details at TurboTax.com/guarantees. Today's episode of Locked On Magic is also brought to you by our friends over at PrizePicks. Baseball season is in full swing, and there's no better way to get in on the action than with PrizePicks, the best place for daily fantasy sports. With PrizePicks, you pick more or less on at least 2 player projections, and if you're right, you can win up to 1,000 times your cash. Whether it's strikeouts, RBIs, or first inning runs, PrizePicks keeps every game exciting. This week I am picking my guy. Yeah, I'm a Yankees fan when I'm not cheering for the Marlins. I cheer for the Marlins. I get to cheer for the Yankees occasionally, especially in 2003 when the Marlins won, and that was awesome. This week I'm picking Aaron Judge for more than 1 home run. That seems like a pretty safe guess. Shohei Ohtani for more than 1 stolen base. It's really that easy. That's all you have to do to make a PrizePicks combination. It's fast and simple, and setting up a lineup takes literally less than 60 seconds, just like that last example. And when you win, your payout is quick, safe, and secure. You can always take advantage of their Taco Tuesdays for even more discounts on select player projections for more value. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNBA for $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, run your game. Let's run through the box scores. The Orlando Magic defeat the Boston Celtics 96-76. There isn't a lot to say about this game. This is a late season game where especially when one team has their kind of seeding set and there's just not a lot of purpose to the game. This is kind of what you get. This is why April basketball gets very wonky. March basketball gets wonky too. But this is why end of season games get very, very wonky, and you kind of take whatever wins you can get at the end of the season. Look, Orlando's not going to apologize for routing the Celtics the way that they did. They're not going to apologize for winning a game like this, but they took care of their business, and again, just not a whole lot to it. Orlando took the lead, led by as much as, I believe, 16 or 19 in the second quarter. They gave up an 11-0 run. That lead got down to single digits. They led by 8 at the break. And then in the third quarter, they just put the hammer down. 31-20 third quarter. They found some relief. They found some offense. Paolo Banchero got himself going. Franz Wagner got himself going. And that was it. And then the fourth quarter just became academic. Orlando led by as much as 26 in this game before going on to a 96-76 victory. Again, don't read too much into this game. I know the Magic are slated to play the Celtics. If it's a 2-7, if the Magic take care of their business next Tuesday in the play-in game, in the play-in tournament, they'll play Boston. They'll be in Boston for game 1 in a week. That's how it is. That's what it is. Boston Boston didn't play anybody. Jason Tatum sat, Kristaps Porzingis sat, Jaylen Brown sat, Derek White sat, Drew Holiday sat, Al Horford sat. Really the only rotation players that played were Peyton Pritchard, Sam Hauser, and Luke Cornett. And look, all due respect to those guys, they played their roles really well. They are not Jason Tatum. They are not Jaylen Brown. They are not Drew Holiday. They are not Derek White. They are not the players anybody's worried about. Like, Peyton Pritchard will get free for threes, but for Boston to win this game, they were going to have to make threes. They're going to have to get some 3-point variance. And at the end of the day, Boston shot 7 for 40 from three, 17.5%. Orlando shot 16 for 45. A big chunk of Orlando's distance in this game was their 3-point shooting at 35.6%. Okay. Look, the Magic took care of their business. It felt very much like, they're playing not taking teams far, but they're playing a team that has a lot of talent deficiencies. At a certain point, the Magic were just going to out-talent them and be too good for them to contain, and that's exactly what happened. Franz Wagner had 23 points on 9 for 17 shooting. He was 2 for 4 from 3, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, just got his way to the basket. Really had these long pockets where he was just scoring, especially in the second quarter was when he really got going. And just, again, blew this game open. It was just, they had no answer for him. They couldn't put size on him. He worked around it. He took plenty of threes. He took some threes. It was fine. Cole Anthony off the bench at 18, 6 for 13 shooting, 5 for 10 from 3, 8 rebounds, really carried the Magic through the second quarter to help them build their lead and get some cushion that, again, Orlando never let go of. Again, you look at the bench, Cole Anthony plus 22, Goga Bitadze plus 21, Gary Harris a plus 25. He made 2 threes. Orlando's now 7-1 when Gary Harris makes at least 2 3-pointers in a game. Don't laugh at how low that number is, please. Just the Magic had more viable weapons. They made shots. Boston didn't. Peyton Pritchard went 1 for 7. Sam Hauser went 2 for 8. Baylor Shireman went 1 for 7. This is part of the problem with Boston's strategy is when you take a lot of threes, you better make them. But in this game, they didn't have a Jason Tatum to go to the basket. They didn't have a Jaylen Brown to go to the basket. They didn't have a consistent way to score in the paint at the rim. Orlando outscored Boston 42-38 in the paint. It wasn't a good game for Orlando. Honestly, if Orlando played the way they played Wednesday night, they would have lost to Atlanta on Tuesday. That part is a little discouraging, but at the same time, when all those players for the Celtics are out, you do expect a letdown. Second night of a back-to-back, again, no travel, really no excuse. Boston was on the second night of back-to-back too. They look like it. You expect a letdown when you're not playing regular opponents, when you're not playing the regular guys you expect to see on the other side of the floor. That's just the truth of it. That's just kind of what it is. Paolo Banchero really struggled in this game. 15 points, 6 for 17 shooting, 2 for 7 from 3. Felt like he settled, 1 for 2. He was looking for fouls that he wasn't getting. 6 assists, though, 4 rebounds, only 1 turnover. So a lot of things, Paolo did a lot of things. I thought Boston was over-helping. They were really making sure he had 2 bodies in front of him. He struggled. The only thing that I took away from this game that I kind of logged for later was Boston went to a 2-big lineup. They had a lineup with Neemias Queta and Luke Cornett on the floor together. And they put Queta, a much more athletic big, on Paolo Banchero. And honestly, the size bothered him. The size around the basket, the size in his face, that bothered him. That's kind of why you run those lineups and why you try Queta. Boston's not going to try that with Al Horford and Kristaps Porzingis. Paolo will eat those 2 alive. But Queta gave him some pause and caused him to take a step back. And again, just everyone was out of rhythm. It was just a weird game. It was just not a good game for anybody. Wendell Carter had 8 points. Caleb Houston had 5. Anthony Black had 6, made 2 threes. Just not a lot of scoring. There's 31 combined points in the fourth quarter. Orlando won the fourth quarter 16-15. That, frankly, just tells you the kind of game this was. Again, Boston was without all their main players. Orlando had their main players. I saw some people saying, this is kind of concerning. The Magic are struggling like this. And I'm like, not really. It's just is what it is. If this is the stinker the Magic have offensively for a while, that be that. I think, honestly, this game was just a little bit of a hangover from Tuesday. celebrating that Hawks win. It was a big win. Obviously, just a huge win. I think there's just a lot of emotions. There's a little bit of an emotional letdown. I think some of it was, they took their opponent a little lightly. They didn't have the stars. They didn't have the big names. They weren't as much of a threat. They could afford to make some mistakes. They could afford to try some things. Just normal human nature stuff. To me, like, nothing in this game was concerning, or nothing in this game like shouted at me like, oh, this is trouble, or this is bad. No. Like, Atavius Caldwell-Pope left with a knee injury, left with a sore left knee. I wouldn't expect him to play very much the rest of the way. We'll talk more about what's going to kind of come up next here for the Magic. I wouldn't expect any of that. Honestly, like, the other big injury thing was Cole Anthony puking in the second quarter. Like, literally, he was puking on the court. He kind of pulled himself off to the side, couldn't get to a trash can, just let it fly. I saw it. A lot of us in the arena saw it. It was weird. It was disgusting. But Cole played it off. Nothing to worry about. He's done this in the past. He's usually been able to get to a trash can so you don't see it, but he's done this in the past. This isn't completely new with him that it happens. But that's the kind of game it was, to be perfectly honest, where one of the bigger stories is one of the Magic players was puking on the sideline because there was nothing else going on. So don't read too much into this game. The Magic took care of their business. They won the game. They won it comfortably. They goofed around maybe more than they should have. They weren't as attentive as they needed to be. And that's going to be one of the key lessons for the team as they tried to do something with these last two games. So let's turn the page then. Let's put this game to rest. There's not much to say about it. What's left to prove this season? What do the Magic need to get out of these final two games, if anything at all, with their playoff spot locked in? We're going to talk about that coming up here in just a moment. But first, today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by our friends over at DoorDash. NBA fans, get ready, because when they swoosh, you save. Thanks to Dash Pass, every time a player drops 50 or more points in a game, you score a huge deal the next day. It's simple. When any player scores 50 or more in a game during the 2024-2025 NBA regular season, Dash Pass members get 50% off an order up to $10 off the next day from noon to midnight. There's plenty of ways to use this. Like after an epic 50-point performance, you can celebrate by ordering wings, pizza, or burgers from your favorite spot delivered straight to your door. If you got those late night cravings, I get them a lot because I work late. Whether you're staying up watching highlights or just need a midnight snack, use Dash Pass to grab something delicious while saving big. If you need a quick and easy lunch the next day, with Dash Pass, you can get your favorite meals with $0 delivery fees and reduced service fees. Plus, now you save even more with this exclusive NBA offer. If you're planning to catch the next game, order your go-to snacks and meal at a discount and get ready for more high-scoring action. Sign up for Dash Pass and be ready to save. When any player scores 50 or more in a game, Dash Pass members get 50% off an order the next day, up to $10 off. Just use promo code NBA50 from noon to midnight after a 50-point game on eligible orders at participating merchants. You must have an active Dash Pass account. Terms apply. Visit DoorDash to learn more. So we have hit this weird pocket. 2 games left, at Indiana on Friday, at Atlanta on Sunday. As excited as we all were for this last week, we all kind of understood that going 2-2 with one of those wins being over Atlanta was going to get the job done. That the Magic would clinch the 7th seed and be done. Some of us are maybe surprised they did it this early. They just took care of their business. It's done. The Magic are the 7th seed. Chicago can't catch them. Miami can't catch them. Atlanta loses on the division tiebreaker. They can still technically catch them, but Atlanta loses on the division record tiebreaker. It's over. There's no moving up. There's no moving down. The Orlando Magic again will host the 7-8 play-in tournament game on Tuesday at the Kia Center. Another big home nationally televised game against a pretty solid opponent, whether it's Atlanta, whether it's Chicago. Miami's kind of fell off the pack with their loss to the Bulls tonight. But we'll find out who that opponent is over the next few days. So what's left? What do the Magic need to do? Well, I would not expect Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner to play more than 30 minutes in any game coming up. Look, they both played under 30 minutes in this game. There's no reason for them to stress and fatigue them and exert them. I would expect the same Friday. I would expect them to play on Sunday. Like, there's no reason. But the Magic, it does sound like want to at least keep the attitude of winning. It sounds like and feels like from talking to them after this game, and maybe plans change as they get on the plane Thursday in Indianapolis. It certainly sounded like they believe there's still value in these games and that there's still things they need to work on. They want to clean up, especially their offensive execution. While their offense is playing significantly better, it's not where they want it to be. And look, the Magic had 96 points in this game. If you give me a chance to stall, I can get you their offensive rating real fast. This was not a game that's exactly inspiring confidence in the Magic's offensive ability. Orlando had a 105.5 offensive rating and an 85.4 defensive rating. The Magic know their defense is going to be there. It's going to be about how much can they score. And that's still something they want to work on, I think, very, very clearly. They want to continue kind of sharpening themselves and playing at playoff intensity. While Orlando is playing some really good basketball right now, it still feels a little bit like they're playing catch-up. That, Paolo and Franz were just kind of behind the eight ball, and they're just now kind of hitting a stride that a lot of the elite teams, at least maybe not some of the teams that they'll be playing in the play-in, certainly a team like Boston hit 2-3 weeks ago. So I think Orlando still sees value in getting that time on the court in game situations against quality opponent. Indiana's a really good opponent. I mean, Indiana may or may not need this game too, but I think they still see some value, and I think that we will see. I don't know if we see Kenny the rest of the season. I think they may save him for the playoffs, but again, that's a long time off. I don't anticipate the Magic practicing Monday before the play-in game, especially because they have to travel. Although 1 o'clock game, they'll be back home pretty early. It sure feels like the Magic are going to give guys a little bit of a chance and then kind of pull back on the reins at the end. It feels like I asked Franz Wagner this, is the goal, so one of the goals and one of the things I think there is still left to fight for is the Magic are 40-40. They got back to 500. Woo! They got back to 500. So is getting to 42 wins a goal? Obviously, I think they want to win these games, but they're not going to sell out for them. Is getting to 41 wins a goal? Is just being able to say, we are a playoff team, we are 500, a minor miracle considering all that they missed throughout the year. Is that still a goal? And I asked Franz Wagner that specifically. He said, I asked him kind of is that something you want to go for within reason? And he's like, yeah, within reason sounds like the right idea. It's good to say that we're on a winning team. It's one of their goals. It's one of the things they wanted to accomplish. One of the things that, you just kind of accomplish on your way to your bigger goals. But no one's going to sell out to get 41 wins. If Orlando's down by 8 in the fourth quarter and they put a minute cap on Paolo and Franz at 26, 27 minutes or 25 minutes or whatever it is, they're not going to blow past that to win that game. Because it doesn't matter. It's not important. We are going to get to see, hopefully, some players get some opportunity. Maybe we'll see a Caleb Houston. We'll certainly see Caleb Houston. Maybe we'll see a Jett Howard try and get him some rhythm. Maybe we'll see, we'll see some other players. We'll see Anthony Black in a more pronounced role. Let's get Caleb Houston a dunk. Come on. There's not a lot to prove. That's the point. It's more about still fine-tuning, and as the Magic have said throughout the course of the week, focusing on themselves. You don't want to do too little. I asked Joe Mazzulla this before the game about how do you balance keeping guys fresh and ready, but also making sure they're not exposed to injury, kind of just taking back on the reins. And, even Joe Mazzulla, who's, pretty straight-laced and, pretty confident, and look, everything's about winning with him, and he believes that all of his guys can win, as he should. But he said, it is a balance. No one has the answers to this, but you don't want to play guys too much that they're tired. You don't want to rest them too much so that they're rusty. And look, Boston's going to have that long week off. So I do think Boston looked at this back-to-back and said, we don't need to play our guys on a back-to-back. That's exposing them to unnecessary fatigue and injury. They'll play in the last 2 games. Again, like I would highly doubt Paolo and Franz play Sunday in Atlanta. I do think they play Friday against Indiana. I do think that they play regular minutes probably through the first 2.5 quarters. And then in the third quarter, when they come out in the third quarter, that's probably it for them. That would be my guess. That's kind of what happened in this game. And I think that'll be the kind of the strategy moving forward. And again, like, I think finishing 500 is a good goal. I think Orlando should be aiming to get one more win. Indiana may not need that game either on Friday, so they may pull back on the reins, and it may be a battle of bench players, which Indiana's got one of the best benches in the league, so maybe that's not good for Orlando. Atlanta is probably going to need that game. They're going to want to win that game on Sunday. So Orlando right now, we're not going to judge them on their wins the rest of the season. As much as I'd like them to get to 41. We're going to judge them on, okay, when the starters are in, are they doing what we need to see them do to be ready for that play-in game on Tuesday? Because we don't want a second game. We want to play that one game, go to Boston, start the playoff series. Everyone's excited to be in the playoffs. No one's skipping that step. They all know they got to win the game on Tuesday or Friday. They know they got 2 cracks at it, but they want to be in the playoffs really, really badly, and they know that it's really, really close, and they believe they're a playoff team, and they believe in who they are, and that's kind of what's left to prove here in the regular season is in whatever way they can to be ready to take that step and to get to that level. Again, pretty straightforward night for the Orlando Magic. They took care of their business against an undermanned team. They clinched their spot, and now we can kind of kick back, relax, and look ahead to the play-in tournament on Tuesday. But that's going to do it for me today. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. Of course, follow me on Twitter at @PhilipR_OMD. Follow me on Blue Sky at PhilipRR. You can subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Himalaya, Google Play, Spotify, Odyssey, and all from me. You download podcasts to your podcast-enabled listening device. For the latest on the Orlando Magic, be sure to check out OrlandoMagicDaily.com. You can find us there on Twitter at OMagicDaily. And for even more Orlando Magic content, including my 3 takeaways from this game, if you actually care about what happened in this game, you can check out my Patreon page, the Orlando Magic Hub, at patreon.com/Orlando Magic Hub. Pinned to the top of that page, by the way, is my video breakdown of Wendell Carter's defense. About 30-minute long video, just like this. I run through some tape. I break down some stats. You can check that out again at patreon.com/Orlando Magic Hub. As if all that's not enough, you can also check out the Locked On Magic podcast daily newsletter. And the best part is, with the playoff race heating up, you can now stay in the know with the newsletter and get a chance to win one of these amazing prizes by subscribing. A $2,500 Best Buy gift card to upgrade your Sports Cave setup, a $300 Game Time gift card to get those playoff tickets, or a $200 Fanatics gift card to make sure you are geared up for the postseason. Sign up between April 7th and April 30th, 2025 to be entered. Our Magic newsletter delivers real-time updates, expert analysis, and playoff insights tailored for you. So subscribe now for free to the Locked On Magic podcast newsletter and stay ahead as the season unfolds. Subscribe today at LockedOnDaily.com or click on the link in the description to enter. That's going to do it for me today, though. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. We'll be back again tomorrow. We will talk about who the Magic want to play in the play-in tournament, and also assess the job that Jamal Mosley's done, because there's been news. I don't know if you've heard. There's been news. We'll talk about that on tomorrow's episode of Locked On Magic. But until then, for Orlando Magic Daily and Locked On Magic, this has been Philip Rossman-Wright. We'll see you all again next time for another episode of Locked On Magic.